questo codice QR. A volte quando vogliamo cambiare qualcosa o migliorare qualcosa, vale la pena guardare dove viene già fatto in questo modo. Si prendono delle ispirazioni da buoni esempi. Noi oggi lo facciamo con la Finlandia. La Finlandia ha una buona strategia riguardo alla decarbonizzazione, è una strategia molto intelligente. Il ministro finlandese Timo Harakka, il ministro dei trasporti, ci parlerà della situazione nel suo paese. Purtroppo Timo Harakka oggi non può essere presente fisicamente, ciò nonostante ci ha preparato un messaggio video.
Minister, colleagues, dear friends. I will start by quoting Business Finland, our government organization for innovation funding and trade. They say, if it works in Finland, it works everywhere. Finland and Switzerland share a passion for ice hockey, as well as the challenges that ice and snow present for mobility. We also share a passion for innovation, technology, and high-quality solutions. Switzerland and Finland have had fruitful cooperation in the mobility field. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to speak at this mobility conference. We have all been closely following the COP26 summit in Glasgow. We cannot ignore the fact that transport is a significant factor in climate change. At the same time, we have a range of different solutions to mitigate the impact of transport on climate change. We need to use the solutions we already have and be bold in developing new ones. The goal of transport policy in Finland is to promote the mobility of information, goods and people, and to ensure that people's everyday lives run smoothly. We think that transport should be based on services and be reliable and customer-oriented, and this goal is pursued by legislation. In the future, transport services will be increasingly automated. Automation can significantly improve safety, efficiency, and sustainability of transport. Transport is one of the first sectors in which more efficient use of data can quickly produce concrete results. By means of legislation, we also improve access to data and create a favorable environment for data-driven business. Dear guests, electric mobility, automation, and the growth of services and digitalization affect everyone in the transport industry. This also changes traditional ways of doing business. We found that the best way to approach the challenges faced by the transport sector is with an ecosystem approach and through cooperation. Our joint national growth program, which sets out principles and good practices in enhancing cooperation between private and public sector actors. The ITS factory network established in the city of Tampere is an active smart mobility network. The community creates solutions for mobility challenges through an intensive public-private partnership. The authorities can communicate their goals to members of the network so that companies can pick up ideas and plan new solutions. And transport is not just routes or vehicles, but a whole package that adapts to the changing needs of people and businesses. For several years already, Finland has been promoting mobility as a service, or MaaS, which links technology development with human-centered services. In short, a MaaS service combines different transport modes into a seamless travel chain with one ticket. For customers, it offers accessibility and ease of mobility. In our view, MaaS can provide an alternative to private vehicle ownership, one that may be just as convenient and certainly more sustainable. The most important element in the MaaS concept is, of course, the user. Catering for the needs of all the different kind of users is at the heart of MaaS. I think it's important that all digital mobility services make daily life easier to users, regardless of physical abilities or site of residence. The Finnish approach to MaaS promotes collaboration between public transportation and private service providers. A successful deployment requires an open ecosystem and focus for win-win solutions. I have good reason to bring up MaaS in the context of this conference. MaaS represents a recent example of collaboration between Finland and Switzerland. WIM, a service by a Finland-based company, MaaS Global, was launched in Switzerland earlier this year. The public transport in Switzerland is considered to be among the best in the world, and now with WIM, it can make the use of mobility services even more convenient and sustainable. Another example is Virta, the fastest growing electric vehicle charging platform in Europe. Virta operates in over 30 countries, again, Switzerland being its first partner. The digital platform connects all the key players in the EV ecosystem and provides services in the entire value chain. I'm pleased to see that MaaS has been on the rise in Switzerland. I'm curious to follow the development of the concept, and I hope that the future will offer new opportunities for collaboration. To participants, a city can act as an enabler in many ways. Renewal and modernization in cities is a way of promoting innovative solutions. For example, our capital city, Helsinki, is a smart mobility pioneer with an agile approach to experimentation. Whether it is MaaS, automated transport, 5G, or open data, the city's track record is on par with global leaders. Helsinki is a good test bed. It's big enough to develop and test innovations, yet still small enough to make solutions work in practice. And residents are often eager to take part in shaping the services. Jätkäsaari Mobility Lab is Helsinki's testbed for smart mobility. The lab helps businesses and researchers pilot new solutions in a real urban environment. It offers support with permits and installation, as well as engaging citizens as test users. It also provides smart infrastructure and technology on the streets. Helsinki's immediate neighbor, the city of Espoo, has set itself the objective of carbon neutrality by 2030. The city had already committed in increasing its low-emission mobility and becoming a good city for cycling. A few years ago, Espoo was nominated the most sustainable city in Europe, and it intends to maintain this position. In addition, the United Nations has invited Espoo to be a pioneer city in implementing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2025. And a third example, the city of Lahti is the European Green Capital this year. I'm very pleased that the mayor of Lahti, Pekka Timonen, is attending this conference today, so I'm sure you will hear more from the mayor himself about Lahti's innovative approach to a sustainable lifestyle. Having talked about creating environments for innovations, I'm going to end this speech by turning to something very old, even iconic in regard to sustainable collective transport, the tram. The city of Tampere recently launched its own tram network. Tampere has, however, updated the tram for the 21st century in an outstanding way. The new tram line is the backbone of the public transport system in Tampere. And what's happening around the tram and tram line is even more interesting. Information and payment systems, services around tram stop and MaaS services are emerging. The long-term goal of Tampere is to have automated feeder traffic to a couple of tram stops. Dear friends, as I already mentioned, Swiss public transport is considered to be among the best in the world. I've also been happy to learn about Zurich's innovative idea of having a fondue tram. At this cold time of year, that would be my choice of transport, even if I would not necessarily have to go anywhere. With these words, I wish you all an inspiring and fruitful conference.
Timo Harakka war das, der finnische Verkehrsminister. Ja, und wir können vielleicht einiges lernen von Finnland in Sachen Dekarbonisierung.
Ministro finlandese dei trasporti e delle comunicazioni.
Willkommen zurück, danke, dass Sie so spontan sind.
Bentornati, grazie per essere così spontanei e per essere tornati un po' prima. Si dice che bisogna cogliere l'occasione quando è il momento e l'abbiamo fatto perché adesso c'è Pekka Timonen, prima ha avuto un problema tecnico e per quello non ha più utilizzare il suo portatile, lo sappiamo tutti com'è. Adesso riesce a vederci, però la presentazione che voleva presentarci adesso non riesce a vederle perché non può usare il portatile. Se qualcosa va storto, allora va veramente tutto storto. Ciò nonostante, un cordiale benvenuto a Pekka Timonen.
We can hear you, yes.
Excellent. So I hope you had a great coffee break, and I will bring you to the little bit of a picture of Lahti in Finland.
Yes, please. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I hope you had a nice coffee break there, and I hope you can hear me now very well. So let's go for Lahti. Lahti is in southern Finland, 1 hour from our capital Helsinki. 120,000 people and 200,000 people as an urban region. So we are a very average European city. Most Europeans live in mid-sized cities, so between 100,000 and 300,000 people. This year, Lahti is the European Green Capital. A few words about what is the European Green Capital. Every year, European Commission selects one city in Europe to be the European Green Capital. It's based on 2 expert panels, and then they choose the winner. And we were chosen to be this year's 2021 Green Capital. It's based on a very large evaluation on your environmental programs and results. And so you have to be basically good in many things, not only one thing, but actually many things. And of course, climate change, both adaptation and mitigation are a big part of that picture. Lahti became a European Green Capital as a part of a change story. This is a city of change. You can see, I hope you can see the city behind me on my picture. We have been changing a lot and tried to make a positive change. This is an old industrial city, so we are a brownfield, or were a brownfield. Lahti had a lot of industries, and beginning of 90s, more or less that collapsed. We also had a very dirty lake, most polluted lake in Finland. And then late 1980s, people said that this is enough. We can't live like this. So in 1980s already, people decided that let's clean the lake. Today, after a big community work, businesses, universities, people, the city, everyone, the lake today is clean. We can eat the fish, we can swim, enjoy the lakeside. Instead of old factories, there is now a beautiful concert hall, etc. So people of Lahti already had a very concrete example of how investing and doing environmental programs makes the city better, not only in theory, but in practice. Since that, we haven't looked back. We have adapted, we have decided, adapted, and then implemented very many long-term and ambitious environmental programs and environmental targets, and still doing that. Our big next target already is in sight. So now being the European Green Capital, we already have announced that by 2025, we will be a carbon neutral city. That's almost tomorrow, dear friends. So by 2025, Lahti becomes carbon neutral. And we are already long on that track. Today, we have cut our emissions by 70%. We still have work to do, but already done a lot. So we have had a very significant cut in our CO2 emissions, and I will explain briefly about what we have done and what we will do. We also have done other environmental with very ambitious goals and been able to have great results. 99% of our municipal waste today is either recycled or reused. So we don't need a landfill anymore. We said goodbye to landfills a few years ago. And also, we are very ambitious to continue this positive change in our city, moving from that old industrial brown city into this modern international green city, a carbon neutral city, a better city in many different ways. Few words what we have done. One is, of course, changing our energy system. We said we used to have a coal power plant, giving district heating for the city and also other source of energy. We said goodbye to that, so we closed our coal-powered power plant a few years ago, and now we have a emission-free energy in our district heating based on different solutions and also based on bioenergy. But basically, our district heating system today is emission-free. We can also utilize a lot of green electricity. The city is a big owner of wind power, etc., other things. So changing the energy system, making the energy shift, big part of our change. Secondly, we are working a lot. Energy is always a big thing. That's what I have to remind you. When you work with carbon neutrality, energy is a big thing always. Second big thing is traffic, and we are still working on that. So we are trying to utilize and speeding up the change to the electric mobility. And this summer, a big part of our bus lines were turned into electric buses. So now, today, the share of the electric public transportation in our public transportation system is the biggest in Finland. And by the way, what changed in last one and a half years? Now providing public transportation based on electric buses is cheaper than providing public transportation with old diesel buses. So the markets are already changing, and the system is changing. So traffic, we still have to work with that. We also have tried, as a first city in the world, personal carbon trade. By using your mobile phone that follows how you move around, it detects your carbon footprint, and then if you change your habits, change your car to bus or a bicycle, it gives you benefits. We have been receiving bus tickets, theater tickets, movie tickets, and if you ask the locals, they would like to have a pint of beer too. We are still working on that. But that we had a test time of that last year, and we are now figuring out how to continue with the personal carbon trade. Some of the examples how we work with this. And then, of course, building and infrastructure. We are also have to remember that building and infrastructure is a big source of CO2 emissions and the whole lifespan of buildings. So having these two things in mind, building and electric traffic, we have also we have built a cluster for electric traffic for the business and science. Our local university, LUT, is now having a research group and professor on electric traffic, but also over 30 businesses have joined. We have also started now a development center for carbon neutral building, trying to figure it out how to do it. And not only one building, but the whole infrastructure of a city and the lifespan of buildings. And then also people's acceptance and involvement is very important. If you don't have people with you, it's very difficult to change. And in Lahti, we think that we have to, and we have been quite successful in normalizing environmental actions and climate actions, saying this is a normal way how the city develops. There's nothing special or particular in this. This is what all cities have to do. We have only tried to move forward a bit fast. So normalizing all these activities and actions have been a big thing. And we have had very creative ways of also how to communicate with public. Lahti is a home for the world's first carbon neutral symphony orchestra. Lahti Symphony is a great orchestra. We are also home for world's first carbon neutral professional ice hockey team. Lahti Pelicans, playing in the Finnish Premier League, is also now very, very seriously targeting to be a carbon neutral team as soon as possible. So when a mayor says something, it's me. People might listen, but I have no illusions that people will buy everything what a mayor says. But when the most adorable sports hero of your city says, we are working for carbon neutrality and beyond, and this is what we do, and we think it's fun, and we have to do it. So it's much more powerful than experts or even politicians or mayors talking. So communicating inclusive approach, taking everybody with you, that's very important. And then what has happened in the last one or 2 years? We became already a few years ago, this title was given that in 2021, you will be the European Green Capital. But since that, what has changed is the business community and the approach of the business environment. And of course, the global approach to climate change is also changing now very rapidly. European Union Green Deal, Glasgow meeting, US government, Biden government, Chinese government, even Russian government has made changes and say greener economy is needed. Big financiers, if you look what the big finances are doing right now, they're pushing forward very heavily, and even central banks towards the green economy, a green transition. So we feel now that becoming carbon neutral by 2025, it's not only possible, we are on that way based on the latest calculation on May, we are on that track now. But that's not alone important. It's also great for a business environment in the city and the region. So it gives you a competitive advantage providing this carbon neutral environment. So all the businesses and services produced and provided here in Lahti have basically a lower carbon footprint. It's basically given having this environment and using the possibilities of this region. And this is what I believe in strongly. This will be a competitive advantage, and let's say within a few years, even a necessity for a good and active and dynamic business environment. Being a carbon neutral, having ambitious but still realistic goals in how you move forward as a sustainable city. So all in all, sustainable city, it's possible. It looks a normal city like us. We are not the fanciest, not the richest, not the most educated city in Europe, not in Finland either. But still, we have been able to push forward the idea of a very bold and environmental city, and now the European Green Capital. So it's possible for us, it's possible for all cities in Europe at least. And the idea is that the sustainable city looks like a normal city. You have to dig deeper, changing energy system, changing the way how you move around and traffic, understanding the impact of buildings and infrastructure, and then also having the business community as one of the drivers of your change is very important, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day. But in the end of the day, sustainable city is not enough that you have good facts and figures and say, this is what the numbers show. It's very important that it's a better city. It must be a better city, and also the local residents and businesses, community, everyone must feel and understand that we are not only making a sustainable city, but we are making a better city for everyone. So this is the way how the whole community can work together and have different views and have different opinions and even different standpoints, but they can all at least accept the push towards a greener, a more sustainable city, what we have been doing for 30 years already now, and now pushing us forward to be the carbon neutral city, one of the first ones anywhere, already by 2025. And that's, as I already said, that's dear friends, that's almost tomorrow. So it's not the distant future, it's already almost now. And we Lahti are very committed to move forward and also enlarge our approach in the question of environmental goals and fighting against climate change, and also adapting in some parts to that. So, dear friends in Switzerland, that's my message from and my story from Lahti in southern Finland. And as you know, we are all very famous for winter sports. So also the locals, it's very easy to understand that fighting against climate change is also saving our winters, and we can continue hosting World Cup in Nordic ski in the future too every year, because we have to do something to save the winters. And finally, please go to our website in English, greenlahti.fi, to find more information, videos and other material about the story of Lahti and the story of Lahti as the European Green Capital. Thank you for listening, and I hope that now my message and my sound was perfect there in Switzerland.
Yeah. The sound was perfect. Thank you very much, Pekka Timonen, for the interesting insights on how we are managing making Lahti decarbonized city. We have some questions from the audience for you, if you mind. How did you get the acceptance of the public for the changes, for example, for the personal emission trade? How did you get the acceptance from the public?
Come è riuscito ad ottenere che sia accettata dal pubblico questo sistema? Riusciamo a migliorare la città in modo concreto. Quando c'è un'azione succedono delle cose buone. E poi si è anche capito che la città deve cambiare. Se no avremmo perso la nostra industria e i nostri lavori. Tante persone, la maggioranza delle persone, vogliono procedere, vogliono andare avanti, provare una cosa nuova. Ovviamente questo traffico con il CO2 era come un gioco, alla fine era un'applicazione, un'app. E quindi sì, si trattava anche di un gioco. Ciò nonostante dobbiamo valutare la situazione, procedere e dobbiamo vedere come andare avanti coinvolgendo tutti. Il messaggio è: questo è normale, questo è com'è nella nostra città. Non farlo diventare una cosa speciale. Noi, per esempio, non abbiamo una strategia riguardo all'ambiente. Noi cerchiamo di coprire tutti gli aspetti della città con la nostra politica. Abbiamo una domanda molto concreta sul vostro sistema di trasporti pubblici. Come funziona? Funzionano i vostri bus con l'elettricità o con e-fuel, e qual è la temperatura nel pullman? Oggi qui ci sono -7 gradi. È il primo giorno freddo qui a Lahti e vedo dalla mia stanza dove è il mio ufficio da sindacato, vedo che i pullman funzionano, sì, funzionano, ma funzionano con l'elettricità. Così funziona da noi. E se i pullman vengono caricati la notte o come funziona? Una buona domanda. La notte vengono caricati, però ci sono anche altre possibilità per poterli ricaricare durante il giorno. La tecnologia si è sviluppata in modo massiccio e per quello non dobbiamo caricarli tutto il tempo. Le società dei pullman hanno degli operatori che sono in concorrenza e quindi loro si occupano di queste cose, quindi sta a loro ad occuparsi di questo. Noi vogliamo pullman che funzionano con l'elettricità per gli operatori è l'opzione migliore attualmente. E noi poi dobbiamo vedere quanto deve pagare l'economia per questi bus. L'ultima domanda. Io mi chiedo se può dare un consiglio alla Svizzera. A volte le cose che dobbiamo fare sono così grandi che non sappiamo neanche da dove cominciare. Potrebbe darci un consiglio? Dove possiamo cominciare? Qual è il suo consiglio? È molto difficile perché voi in Svizzera siete molto bravi in tante cose, siete un paese molto sviluppato. Dovete semplicemente cominciare a lavorare. Non pensate quanto sia grande il problema, la difficoltà. Cominciate, fate qualcosa, andate avanti. Perché lavorando, procedendo, avrete dei risultati. Fare è importante, è quello che vorrei dirvi, è quello che stiamo facendo a Lahti. Noi siamo attivi qui a Lahti, siamo una città blu e vuol dire che dobbiamo lavorare, dobbiamo essere attivi. Quindi il mio messaggio è: Tutte le città possono fare molto e potete scegliere quello che volete cominciare a fare adesso. Grazie mille. Pekka Timonen, sindaco di Lahti, scusate.